Earth science. Why study earth science? Other than the fact that you need another science credit, earth science covers everything about our world from below the ground itself, and the atmosphere surrounding us. Because it's the area that connects the life sciences and physical sciences, earth science studies the land, rocks, minerals, water, weather, and forces that shape our world. Think of earth science as the study of more than just this Earth's surface. We will go above and below the visible Earth. Chapter 1, Introduction to Earth Science. This is the textbook we will be using, Prentice Hall's Earth Science. What is earth science? Earth science is the name for the group of sciences that deals with Earth and its neighbors in space. Geology means study of the Earth. Geology is divided into physical and historical geology. Oceanography is the study of the Earth's oceans as well as coastal processes, seafloor topography, and marine life. Meteorology is the study of the atmosphere and the processes that produce weather and climate. Astronomy is the study of the universe. The nebular hypothesis suggests that the bodies of our solar system evolved from an enormous rotating cloud called the solar nebula. It was made up mostly of hydrogen and helium, with a small percentage of heavier elements. Shortly after the Earth formed, melting occurred in the Earth's interior. Gravity caused denser elements to sink to the Earth's center. Less dense elements floated towards the surface. As a result, Earth is made up of layers on materials that have different properties. 1.2 A view of the Earth. Earth can be thought of as consisting of four major spheres: the Hydrosphere, the Biosphere, the Atmosphere, and Geosphere. The Hydrosphere is the water portion of the Earth. The atmosphere is an envelope of gases that surround the Earth. Geosphere, the layer of the Earth under both the atmosphere and the oceans, it includes the core, the mantle, and the crust. And the Biosphere, made up of all the life on Earth. Biology is a study of life, so that makes sense that the Biosphere would be studying all of the life on Earth. Because the geosphere isn't uniform, it's divided into three main parts based on the differences in composition. The core, which is Earth's innermost layer, is located just below the mantle. The mantle is 2,890 kilometers thick, and it's sandwiched between the core and the crust. The crust is the thin, rocky outer layer of the Earth. If the Earth itself was a hard-boiled egg, the yolk, the yellow part, would be the core, the egg white would be the mantle, and the egg shell would be the crust. Plate tectonics is the model that explains the position of the continents and the occurrence of volcanoes and earthquakes. Destructive forces wear away Earth's surfaces. Destructive forces like erosion from wind and water, flooding, can actually remove some of Earth's material and move it to different places, but we know that it can't completely go away. Constructive forces build up the Earth's surface. So mountain building processes, volcanoes, those types of things can actually build structures. Tectonic plates move constantly over the Earth's mantle. You can see in this diagram there are lots of large plates. They are constantly in motion. Some are pushing against each other and some are moving away. 1.3 Representing Earth's surface. Latitude is the distance north or south of the equator. It's measured in degrees. Longitude is the distance east or west of the prime meridian, measured in degrees. The equator divides Earth into two hemispheres, the north and the south. The prime meridian and the 180-degree meridian divide Earth into east and west. We live in the northern hemisphere and the western hemisphere. If you think it sounds a lot like geography, you're right. We do overlap quite a bit. And just for fun, if you were to take a map and you were to draw on it, the world is really just a cat playing with Australia, or Australia is Scooby. No matter what kind of map it is, some portion of the surface will always look too big, too small, or out of place. Map makers have, over the years, found ways to limit the distortion or the shape, size, and distance and direction of the map. Different types of maps. The Mercator projection map has the advantage that it's a rectangular grid, longitudinal lines are parallel, and directions are shown accurately. The disadvantage is that size and distance is distorted. If you look at Greenland and Australia, you can see that. It's used for determining the shape of land masses, and mostly with planes and ships. A Robinson projection map has the advantage of most distances, size, and shapes are accurate because it uses map coordinates. The disadvantage is we'll see some distortion around the map edges, like Antarctica. If you look on the giant maps in the history rooms, you'll see that Antarctica, when you really pay attention to it, is huge. In real life, it's not that big. It's useful for seeing the whole world at once, though. A conic projection map has great accuracy over a small area. There's very little distortion over lines of latitude in a small area. However, the disadvantage, there's lots of distortion on the rest of the map. It's very good for road and weather maps, however, because you're looking at a small detailed area. A nomic projection map has the advantage of reliably showing the shortest distance between 2 points. The disadvantage is the exact distances and directions are distorted. Sailors will use this for determining the shortest route from point A to point B. On this slide, you can see the overlay of a Mercator in red over a conic map in blue, and then an unprojected latitude and longitude in green. If you notice right in the center, the purple dot in the middle shows you that everything lines up fairly nicely. But when you get further and further out from that dot, such as Maine, some of these don't even overlap. You can see that on the west coast as well, and especially with Florida. This map shows you a Mercator versus a Lambert conformal conic map. The dark gray areas just show you the overlap areas. So there's a huge difference in the different maps. A Mercator versus a Robinson map. Again, you can see the Mercator map shows Antarctica to be huge when it really isn't. You can also see the difference in the size between the Mercator United States and the Robinson United States. South America is probably the most distinct difference that I can see on this map. Now, if we were to look at the sizes of things, if we were to look at the countries that could fit inside of Africa, you can see that there's France and Spain. Most of Eastern Europe will fit inside of Africa, as well as China, India, the United States. The United Kingdom fills Madagascar. We don't realize that Africa is as large as it is just because of the types of maps we're used to looking at. If we were to look at Greenland, that's another one. Just like Antarctica, it's very distorted. There's a website called thetruesizeof.com, and you can actually play around with the sizes of these countries, and you can scroll and see how big they really are as you move them closer and farther away from the equator, and as they get closer to the pole. They're going to get larger and more distorted the closer they are to the pole. So you can see the United States, we moved it to the equator, it's much smaller. If you moved it up over Canada, it's much larger, but it's also almost not even recognizable. A topographical map shows elevation using contour lines. Topographical maps represent Earth's three-dimensional surface in 2 dimensions. A contour line indicates the elevation of the land. A contour interval tells you the difference in elevation between those adjacent or next to contour lines. And then finally, the scale helps determine the distance on a map. A geologic map shows the type and age of exposed rocks. On this map of Missouri, you can see that the different types of rocks correlate with the highest point in Missouri, Tomsock Mountain, which is in red down there. And then you can also see the Ozark Mountains. Today's technology provides us with the ability to more precisely analyze Earth's physical properties. Satellites and computers provide more accurate maps. We can see a satellite imagery of the state of Missouri. You can see all the forested areas. You can see the populated areas where there's less vegetation. And a fun fact, Sputnik was the first satellite used to orbit the Earth. The Soviet Union launched it in 1957. It weighed only 184 pounds and was 23 inches. Sputnik orbited only 92 days before burning up in Earth's atmosphere. That was the beginning of the satellites that have been used since then. The United States Army developed a GPS system that we still use today. They launched 24 satellites into orbit around the Earth. They were equally distant, so that at any given point anywhere on Earth, you would be able to locate your latitude and longitude, because the two satellites would be able to figure out where you were. Now, if the third one, because of triangulation, could find you, it could also give elevation. This came in as an advantage as they were calling in bomb droppings, and it greatly impacted the way that we fought wars. Now we just use it for fun geofilters on Snapchat. Earth system science. Earth system science aims to understand the Earth as a system made up of interacting parts or subsystems. A system can be any size group of interacting parts that form a complex whole. In a closed system, matter doesn't leave or enter the system, such as a car's cooling system. In an open system, energy and matter can flow in and out. Most natural systems are open systems. The Earth system itself is powered by energy from only two sources. One source of energy for Earth systems is the sun, which drives all external processes that occur in the atmosphere, hydrosphere, and at Earth's surface. The sun's energy drives our weather, the climate, ocean circulation, and erosion. Earth's interior is the second source of energy for Earth systems. Heat powers the internal processes that cause volcanoes, earthquakes, and mountains. The Earth system processes are interlinked. A change in one part can affect the entire system. Our actions produce changes in all the other parts of Earth systems. The environment refers to things that surround and influence the organism. Environmental science focuses on the relationships between people and Earth. Our resources include water, soil, metallic and non-metallic minerals, and energy. That is where human beings make the biggest impact, is how we use our resources, how we recover those resources, and whether we recycle them or not. Renewable resources can be replenished over a relatively short time span. Plants, animals, and energy such as water, wind, and the sun are examples of renewable resources. Although these and other resources continue to form, the processes that create them are so slow it takes millions of years for significant deposits to accumulate, such as iron, aluminum, copper, oil, natural gas, and coal. Population growth equals an increase in demand for those resources. Significant threats to the environment include air pollution, acid rain, ozone depletion, and global warming. Understanding Earth's environment and the impact of humans on limited resources is necessary for the survival and well-being of our planet. 1.5. What is scientific inquiry? What is the first step in scientific inquiry? It's the same no matter what science you're studying. I'll give you a hint, it's not forming a hypothesis. The first step in science is we make an observation. You observe something in nature and that causes you to ask a question. Once you ask your question, then you can begin either testing or experimenting or collecting data. There may have been somebody that's already got the answer. You can Google it. Once data have been gathered, scientists try to explain how or why things happen in the way they do. They call this a hypothesis. Hypothesis becomes a scientific theory if it survives tests and analysis.